Hello, welcome again to Linh Talks Tech podcast. And today I'm going to do a quick episode to recap some recent attendance that I was at a SAP America's user group locally here in San Francisco Bay Area chapter. So today's episode is titled The AI Gap in SAP, who actually gets to use it. So it's a very common question now. We get the AI questions. How can I leverage SAP? What can be done based on my version? What do I need to be on to leverage Joule? So regardless how you rephrase the questions, could be AI strategy versus reality, and what about everybody that's still on ECC? Everybody knows that AI is here, but if you're not already upgraded, what's going to happen? What are you allowed to use or can configure to use? So there is a bit of formal fear of missing out on AI, and so a lot of questions came up during the that SAP was there to present some of the latest AI innovations around how the tool can be used on the S4 platform. So there's a bit of controversy, and I want to summarize that in this episode really quick here, is that SAP definitely is going all in on AI. But reality is that only the customers already on, say, public cloud ERP can leverage some of the latest features that SAP announcing all the time about features coming out. But they're coming out first on public cloud ERP, right? So it's not even the private cloud edition. And if you're on cloud edition, you have to wait to when they announce it's going to be available. And then you have to essentially be enabled on BTP to leverage that with your S4, whether it's on-prem or with RISE, etc. So there is some core tension here caused with the customers that are here at these chapters asking similar questions. Definitely they feel AI is urgent and transformative from SAP messaging, but access is really gated behind major transformation projects. So if you've been through one of these transformation projects recently, you know it is major planning and involvement from efforts and costs and budgets, timelines, etc. So it's not a trivial matter. So let's break down from what I hear from customers and including SAP there, right? So SAP AI is based on Joule, kind of embedded AI, co-pilot automation. Some of the features look very interesting. For instance, they're working on the feature that will allow you to use as a co-pilot assist while you're in the GUI, you're in the Fiori, etc. It guides you through kind of like a intelligent documentation. If you are not sure how this transaction works, how to fill out stuff, all that wiki information is embedded there, that you have a sidebar that can guide you through. Some of the features they're working on essentially is also helping to, say, populate some of the fields inside of your transaction, whether it's a Fiori app or a GUI. Maybe a user is calling in about some failed attempt to enter some transaction posting. Maybe there's an error message, and perhaps the support analyst is trying to help this. And the description in the email of the problem, they can't fill that in, or maybe this field is throwing an error. That can be captured, and SAP is allowed, is enabling this feature where it's capturing that information in the email and help you when you are the analyst helping to resolve this issue, bring it up. It helps you to get to the right transaction screen and then fills in this data from the email, basically scrapes it and puts it into the field so that you know, okay, this is maybe one field that has a problem, and it highlights all the data in there that's from the email. So you don't have to like manually look through the email and then try to translate that. But so some of these features are nice, will help the end user experience as well as the support team for sure. But that also requires you, like I say, to be on latest public cloud version of S4. And then if you're on the S4 private cloud, RISE or Grow, you need to add BTP, right? So that's a little bit more native. So all of this Joule embedded AI co-pilots native to that type of environment. And so the heavy dependency on the BTP services, kind of AI core, AI foundation, DataSphere, etc., is all kind of standard, wording and marketing from SAP's like, clean core extensibility model. And recently we heard from some of our partners who enabling some of this capability for their latest customers who want to explore Joule, etc., go through the config and the entitlement and then configure it. But again, majority of customers are not there yet. And even if you're planning an S4 upgrade or migration would rise today, you might not get there until maybe a year or 2 years if you're brownfield and a significant amount of work has to be done. But let's just say it's 6 months to get there. You still have, once you get there, some feature gaps, right? Because let's say you're planning a project today and you're going to be on S4 HANA private cloud ERP version 2025, feature pack 0 or maybe feature pack 1. By the time you're done upgrading and tested and code remediation and go live, maybe 6 months at best, 9 months, 12 months, whatever. As soon as you get there, you immediately are like several feature pack behind. So then you have to think about the AI features that are promised or constantly rolling out, whether you need to immediately do a enhancement pack upgrade. SAP is not retrofitting AI into, ECC or other older S4 versions, especially with on-prem without BATP, right? They're going to want you to go through that effort to upgrade, migrate in order to leverage this capability. So what does that mean for customers in reality? So there were several customers that put up their hand and asked you, what do we need to do, right? So the majority of these customers are still on ECC. They're fairly large. They have over 15, 20 years of investment in SAP. Some of them may be even running but still on-prem. And so their constraint is a kind of a multi-year S4 transformation program is not realistic, either due to budget limitations or maybe there's a custom code, fairly large, complex, landscape that is going through and doing inventory of all the custom code and their compatibility. All of that requires some level of transformation effort to figure out what they gonna need to redesign, rebuild, all of that refactoring. So there is a business disruption risk involved in this transformation. Of course, everybody wants to be latest and greatest, but what is the business disruption risk involved with that? So as a result, AI is being kind of marketed as now, but for most customer, it's not actually now, right? It's maybe 2 to 3 years out. If you look at the 2027 of, mainstream support for ECC, it's at least 1 or 2 years out to get on that. And even if you extend, because you may not have the runway to do that, maybe you pay an extended maintenance into 2030. So it's a significant amount of gap while you are also getting pressure from business to say, hey, what is our capability to have a higher level intelligence in our backend SAP systems? And that's where you feel like I need to get AI now, right? So this gap is real. SAP messaging is AI is available now, but customer reality is only after migration, right? Upgrade. And then the embedded intelligence in SAP kind of, you can get the embedded Joule and you get right there side, a Copilot type assistance, all these tools available, unlocked. But you as customer have the reality that you are really locked behind this new architecture. You can't use it if you're in the old architecture. You don't have leverage for that. So SAP innovation acceleration is fast for sure, but it does require on the customer side massive prerequisite investment. And that's not easy feat to, and essentially if you're a public company, you need to convince the board, you need to go through and do a complete analysis gap and what is the conversion migration effort involved, right? So companies today, they all want to deploy AI. They see the features, they like it, and then the whole SAP delivery of AI post transformation promise is there for sure. So let's get in a little bit deeper. While I was talking to some of these customers that's running, fairly complex business process in SAP, there is definitely this gap that they know about, right? Everybody knows, okay, I got to upgrade, but it's not so straightforward. Some of them maybe recently only upgraded a year ago, so they kind of little gun shy there. AI requires somewhat of a clean data model. They want to be able to standardize processes on SAP side so that they can map over their language model that's been trained on certain these processes. And then they want cloud native architecture. In the opposite sense, ECC are highly customized. They are fragmented. They are not AI ready by SAP standards, right? In terms of enabling AI, there is a gap there, feature gap on capability and what you can do now to leverage it. So SAP is definitely trying to drive SAP customers to kind of cloud adoption to get more onto latest and greatest, but it doesn't always fit for everybody, especially if you have a large investment in SAP and you've been around for a while. So the AI is somewhat of a migration incentive, maybe to Cloud ERP, RISE, otherwise known, right? That migration initiative is definitely something SAP is driving folks to get there in order to have these capabilities. But it's not just a feature. I mean, it's a lever, right? You want to migrate for the right reason and transform for the right reason. This is where we see that there is an opportunity, right? In all of this is that the third-party AI solutions is here as an alternative. So what does that mean? Differentiate. So I had this discussion with several customers and say, what if today a third party can, be an AI vendor, plug into your ECC directly or your legacy S4. Maybe you're on an early adopter and you're on like 1809, 1910, whatever, even 2021 release of S4. Can you leverage AI capability today to help you operationally, also business process? You don't have BTP environments, right? You're not connected to that. So is that possible? Well, of course, the answer is yes. So today you can use kind of API integration. You can have third-party RC or BABI integration layer into SAP stack. In fact, we're doing that right now, and we actually championing this method because we can integrate into the ABAP layer. We can enable services. We can enable data extraction layers and have the intelligence sit on top of that from an AI perspective. So what is the value proposition of doing that? As we discuss more with customers, the resounding advantage is that there's no need for full S4 migration. This episode is not about against migration. Yeah, eventually, if you are going to go this route, you're going to upgrade, migrate. But like I said, it might be a big effort and it might take a year or a lot of investments. Why not now leverage capability that you're not dependent on BTP, right? You could integrate, provide this, and then it's faster time to value. And while you are working on your other transformation project with SAP, right? So these use cases are already available. We have already done intelligent kind of alerting, even anomaly detection out of SAP using AI. We can already do predictive operations. So for instance, basis, jobs, interfaces, queues, things that are backing up. I can give you kind of a real in-depth health check of your system within minutes, right? And AI-driven kind of root cause analysis using AI intelligent layer with all of its knowledge about different types of errors to give you kind of a RCA. So this is something SAP offering with you as well, right? Oh, you get an error, you got some kind of message. It gives you, hey, here are the possible issues and here's how to fix. But that's outside the system using the LLM to give you that information. It's not based on a machine learning model, right? So today, we can do this today with even the repetitive information process that we automate today can have a sidekick, has an AI that can provide the necessary tools, the matching of the scenario to what is the remediation, and AI will investigate in terms of correlate and give you the best recommendation. So today, as I said, an example might be you open a ticket, and the ticket might be an error message in your SAP system. Maybe a functional user is having ABAP dumps or a job just keeps dying. You can open a ticket and say, hey, what's the problem here? Give me root cause and what the potential fix is. We're already doing this with AI saying, hey, with this dump, we see, 20 dumps by this user. And these are the messages for this dump. And here is actually the cause of it. And here are the recommendations to fix it. And this can happen for many different things, from operations to business process. If your business process, for instance, is slowing down due to transaction level that's not meeting some kind of standard expectation, maybe your order flow or your integration to outside, like integration suite into BTP is broke, AI can already analyze all this and see where the potential issue is and make recommendations for reducing your mean time to repair, right? So AI doesn't have to wait for your S4 journey is the main key message that I'm saying here. And I hear that resounding, question of wanting it now by the customer base at these ASA type chapters. And I'm sure SAP upcoming Sapphire in I think May in Orlando this year, there's going to be very similar theme with people going attending, like, how can I get it and how can I get it now? It seems to moving fast. I'm feeling I'm missing out, but I cannot wait for another year, 2 years to fully upgrade to benefit from this. So what are some of the risks and trade-offs in a balanced view, right? So SAP native AI advantage, yes, it's deep. process integration, like best practices, the data model consistency, the long-term strategic alignment of you and AI and Copilot, all that. So that is ingrained in the SAP core value for sure. But there is also at the same time the balance of third-party AI advantages because SAP itself does not go alone, right? It needs a large partner ecosystem to build solutions, to innovate around maybe industry specific or maybe a specific focus on things like support. So immediate ROI in that today, again, within hours, we can actually get AI now integrate into your SAP system and provide real value, whether it's a chatbot experience, whether it's a batch experience, reporting, whatever you name it, it can be automated today. And it works with the existing landscape, whether you're on ECC or some S4 or some other flavor, right? And then the lower barrier of entry because you're not buying into the BTP, the whole project to convert and migrate, modernize. That barrier to entry to experiment. And maybe you won't go all the way. You may want to get SAP a full kind of scope, deep process integration. But the cost of doing this kind of proof of concept to show what is possible with your SAP system today has a very low barrier of entry that we are already working on with that. And again, there's a lot of interest from customers today. And the trade-off is really speed versus standardization. Yes, you can get AI into your system now fast. If you want it the SAP way, then you gotta, think carefully, deploy the right type of transformation project and align that. So there is flexibility versus SAP alignment. The same, I guess, reasoning if you're deciding to go to SAP RISE or you trying to maintain your Cloud ERP private edition with the help of the SIs and partners, right? So what I see as a takeaway from, again, the recent ASAP meetings, and I'm sure all around the country, there's different chapters meeting, and this topic would be coming up very often as a discussion. Customers don't have an AI problem. I think they have an access problem. They all convinced AI can help, but how do I access it today, right? So the key takeaway I would say is that SAP AI is real, but it's kind of gated. Only certain customers can tap it today, or even if they want to wait for latest features, latest, cloud ERP public to be available next quarter. And the rest of the customers are kind of in transitional limbo. And that's reality, right? So the third-party AI fills this gap and it fills it in real time, real tangible value today. So I would just say the final thought for me, just to recap this short episode, is that I feel like the question isn't whether you kind of use SAP AI. The question is, what are you going to do about AI before you get there, right? So I think, again, we're already doing this at IT-Conductor. We actually have customers that are very interested to integrate AI into how we interact with operation as well as the business. And we have capability now to inject AI today at the chatbot level, at the back-end level, at the API and integrated platform level in a secure manner and deploy that very quickly. So that's the exciting part. And I feel feel like this is the time to make that move, especially customers wanting to play around with it. Don't wait around. You can take actions now. So we will definitely follow up with more content on the AI topic, right? There's a lot of things to announce as well. We have a lot of demos and POCs coming up to get the customers to share their use case. What would they like to use it for? And whether it's development, whether it's security, compliance, whether it's business processes, all of these are possible today. And so it's an exciting time to be involved with this. So ECC customers, here we go. We got the answers for you. And let's reach out and talk about this. And the more we talk about it, I think it will be very apparent that we can do this now. All right. Until the next episode, thank you for joining Linh Talks Tech today. And have a good day.